Okay, guys, this is my first writing I've done in months. I mean, you can go on. I don't even think I have my writings on this channel. I think it's on my other channel, Richard Swink. It might be on this channel. I can't remember. But it's been months and months and months. Gwen's asked me several different times, over these months. She's like, "Have you started writing again?" I'm like, "No, I can't." Like, I sit in front of a fucking piece of paper and it's just blank. Everything, the millions and billions of things that go on up here that I just need to get out, just go poof. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, I wrote yesterday. I wrote all of these pages, and it just came out of me. I sat here and I was listening to my binaural beats. After I got done doing everything I needed to do when I got home from work yesterday. And I was listening to my binaural beats and I was trying to work a puzzle, but I just couldn't. I was like, I couldn't even do one piece. I was just sitting here and I was like, man, I gotta get this out of my head. And damn, sure enough, because I keep this padded paper. I keep a few pads of paper, actually, small pads, all kinds of different sizes, because something with what I go through, organization is very important. Like, when I'm healing out of a attack like this, because, I might look at a pad of paper this big and be like, oh God, I can't, and it's overwhelming, but I'll look like a tiny little pad of paper and I'll be like, oh, I can jot on that, so I keep everything, all these different tools around me just in case, I can get these things out. But again, everything's connected, guys, so yeah, I had my breakthrough in my childhood healing right there in that bed the other night, and now for the first time in months I was able to write, and the other things that I've been telling you guys about that have transpired since then. It's crazy. So I'll just get into it. The only thing you can trust is you. As far as I can tell, everything outside of you is susceptible at any time to be used by the Matrix in whatever way to sway you off course. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's a little old lady, if it's just this very soft-talking librarian. It doesn't matter, guys. It doesn't matter how much they go around. They're just like, oh, peace and love, and oh, we accept you for who you are, and oh, open arms, and oh, no judgments. No, that's all a Matrix, part of the Matrix game. That is so unhealthy. That is so fucking unhealthy. Just, oh, I'm just going to accept everything and everybody, and I just love. No, that is fucking Matrix bullshit, guys. And it doesn't make you any better to virtue signal that shit or to purport to be some loving creature when you don't even know what love is. The loving creature is intaking poisons constantly in breads and circuses and everything that's bad for itself, but purports to love everything else. Well, if you love yourself like that, certainly don't bring your love anywhere near me, okay? This is all common sense, guys. The only way that this is hard to figure out is if you got some kind of fucking parasitical demon that has a veil over the faculties of your mind. That's the only way you can walk away from this and still be going, I wonder what the answer is. I still need to do some research. You know what I mean? Ask yourself, who is seeking truth from outside of themselves? Who? Who's seeking truth outside of them? Who thinks that they're going to be able to discern with all of the tricks and traps and manipulations, lies, deceit, and everything else out there, immediately out there? I mean, I can open this door and it will come flooding in, all the bullshit. So who, that person, whatever that is wanting to seek the truth outside, who is that? Who is walking around with the ignorant arrogance that thinks that they don't have the truth, but they have the discernment to be able to go and find the truth? Out of all the trillions of different little fucking lies, manipulations, and skewings of truth that are out there. Surely not an all-knowing eternal soul. So who is thinking anyone has the answer to their journey? What if you were deserted on an island? wrongfully imprisoned for life on death row for 20 years and had no access to any of this shit. How do you know what a Palladian is? How do you know what an Arcturian is? How do you know what reptilians are? How do you know what this is, that is? How do you know anything about history? How do you know anything about fucking the world wars and where civilizations have migrated? Because somebody has told you. Somebody has told you. And why would somebody tell you anything? Because they're benefiting from it. Now, what are they benefiting from? Well, it's usually a teacher, an educator, somebody who's got themselves, who's lifted up on a pedestal and has now got their ego fucking, their ego relies on them fucking just, got all the answers. I mean, come on, guys. This is so fucking first grade spiritual mental sharpness. That if you can't understand this simple fucking scenario and you're going outside yourself still and you're seeking social media and you're looking to all these other people and all these other things for answers or for little bits of truth, but yet you can't even discern and you don't even have the courage and you don't even have the honesty to be able to be honest, courageous in yourself? I mean, come on. If you think anyone has the answer outside of yourself, you are literally handing over your authority, and now you are literally stumbling down the slippery slope of slavery. And guys, you know all about that. Anybody who's watched my videos on the slippery slope of slavery and how that works, and it starts off with giving over your authority, and then having, as soon as you do that, you have to put your faith and belief into some other cocksucker, and there you go. Now you've just relegated yourself to a fucking nothing. Supposedly you sit there and mouth that you're this great spirit-filled being, and you know all this shit. Oh man, it just blows my mind. Like, I can't believe I'm still on this point, and it's just because I haven't honed it down perfectly for myself yet, I think. This is an individual journey. All of us have the answer, and we need to quit searching and thinking, hoping, wishing that there is any such thing as a truther. There's no truth outside of you, period. It's all a skewing of the truth. If we can't even speak the truth, or more appropriately, we proudly and self-righteously loudly proclaim to have the truth, when who is it that is able to discern truth outside of itself when it proclaims to not know the truth? You know what I mean? I mean, come on. These are very simple, logical, like, patterns of thinking that you can do to yourself to break out of the spell. To make if you're sitting there and you go and you're confused and you're like, oh man, I think I know, but I don't know, but I do know, but I do know, and I'm like, ah. Do these logic games this logic shit with yourself. Who is asking? Is a completely spirit-filled and enveloped person going, a mature spirit that has been eternal and all-knowing and all-powerful, that's connected to everything spiritually, occupying the most advanced physical avatar? Is it going to be seeking anything outside of itself? No, because it is innately connected to everything. It needs nothing. It's already innately imbued. It has that natural birthright of a connection. It's just natural. Guys, we have, that connection has been severed. There's been something placed in front of that connection, and then it's marketed to us. It's patented, packaged, processed, and made into a product and sold to us. The cheap knockoff fucking version of our natural innate powers and abilities. And we gladly work our dicks off and worship the system in order to afford to buy these fucking things that we think are necessities because we're living in survival, because we have never been a spirit-filled or spirit-driven body in the first place. Because we were forced into these alter egos and parasitical driven mindsets and indoctrination and programming and everything else from day one. This is generational. Yeah, so I'll read that again. If we can't even speak the truth, or more appropriately, we proudly and self-righteously loudly proclaim to have the truth, when who is it that is able to discern truth outside of itself when it proclaims to not even know the truth? I mean, this is confused. This is a sickened mind. Guys, don't you see? This is a sickened mind that we're dealing with here when you guys ask questions like, what kind of supplements today? What should I do this? What do you think about this? What do you think of, well, how about this? How about that? How about that? None of it matters. None of it fucking matters. We are capable of instantaneous healing and instantaneous everything and just have perfect pieces right here. We just have to claim it. But we can't because I've been living in this body that's been parasitically controlled for 40 years that's done nothing but reaffirm and make harder the walls that it has built up in the justifications for its speaking its own denial of what it truly is and its powers. I mean, we are living in this is cognitive dissonance, guys. This is what cognitive dissonance looks like. This is cognitive dissonance. When we say one thing, but then we're like, oh, and we do the complete opposite, and we're just like, oh, no, we don't even see, and we just go, oh. That's cognitive dissonance. We are sick. We are diseased. And this disease is again, it's the poisons we intake through every orifice of our bodies. The things we consent to, the things we worship. Worship is where you spend your time. What do we spend our time on? Work, watching TV, keeping up with the Joneses, money, current events, the newest knowledge. You know what I mean? All this horse shit. That's what we worship. We do everything but worship the one true God ourselves. We are the creator. Everything that is being placed on us is from the parasitical class. We have been behaving our whole lives as parasites when we're creators. Why do we do that? Well, guys, obviously, if this shit's being handed down from our mothers as soon as we come out of her at birth, and then we are indoctrinated and programmed and conditioned to accept these parasitical ways of thinking and behaving and living and acting and speaking as normal and healthy, then who is it that thinks it has the ability to know the truth from not the truth and is going outside itself for knowledge? Take me 6 months ago, repeatedly saying that you only needed to brush your teeth once a week. I've been saying that. Why was that such a big thing? Why did I keep repeating? I did several videos just pretty much dedicated to that shit. Why? Why would I have made such a big point of that? Was that the spirit-filled being who was giving everybody the right answers and you know, and had the answers for it? No. What was it that was speaking that? What was coming through me and making that seem like I needed to make this point over and over and over and over again? What was that? Well, now that I've been humbled by my experience and through my humbleness have been able to realize my faults and mistakes even 6 months ago, I'm able to see that it's obvious that this was a parasitically driven narrative. Yeah, I might have been putting out 50 things that were helping people and great and wonderful and this and that and other thing, but that's all it takes. And that's what I'm trying to tell you guys. That's all it takes when you go outside yourself. Because, yeah, I might come across as this fucking, well, he's trying his best. He's really doing his damnedest, you know, and yeah, look at him. And it doesn't make me a saint. It doesn't make me a fucking martyr. It makes me I am an example. What I am trying to do is put my shit out there so that way it can't be skewed any other way, and just give my honest look. This is what's happening to me, and this is what I think is happening, and I'm you know, drawing comparisons and connecting dots and taking out the superfluous and only focusing on the foundation and only focusing on the root cause and still messing up, guys, still fucking up. That's what I'm trying to say. So you take me 6 months ago, repeatedly saying that you only need to brush your teeth once a week. Yeah, maybe after completely cleaning your system out and in a fasted state and in that perfect beinghood, of course, we don't ever have to brush our teeth. Why would you need to? Your system's running optimally as it should. You're connected to everything, and you are in constant regeneration. You're just, that's just what it is. It's perfect peace, perfect whatever it is. But not like this. Not when you've been eating junk food and processed food and chemicals and enjoying TV and thinking that you had to work 40 hours a week and doing everything you can to people please, and you've never faced or confronted any of what made you, like your childhood trauma and abuse and where your parents came from and why your fucked up family is the way it is and how you turned out the way you are. And you've never fucking evaluated and taken the time and attention to fucking focus on that shit, but yet you spend 40 hours a week just working and fucking off and doing whatever you want to do, and then you think, oh, okay, now I'm going to be a spirit-filled billionaire, I'm back on my knowledge journey. Okay, let's see, get on my computer and see what everybody knows. But look what I'm proclaiming now. That there needs to be a huge focus on oral hygiene because the majority of us are loaded with parasites, bacteria, heavy metals, plastics, etc., and detox through the mouth is a fucking gnarly thing. Guys, I told you, it looks like my teeth are rotting out at the bottom on a few of them. I've never had that there in my life until I started doing this, and what it's doing is it's pulling. This is what I'm trying to tell you. The matrix will allow you, these parasites will not fuck with, dude, they will let you have the most beautiful body and skin and demeanor and life, and everybody's looking at you and trying to follow you, and they want to be just like you and drink what you drink and fuck what you fuck and think how you think, and you're the answer, right? Bullshit. That's what I'm trying to say. People like me are struggling because we are not participating. We're not gaining anything from the system. We want nothing to do with the illusion. We're done with the matrix. We are completely just dedicated. I mean, and our lives are just turned over to the new man, to reclaiming what is ours, our birthright, and that's it. There is nothing else on this earth that I want, that I desire, that I need, that anything. I'm giving everything away. Oh, man, I lost my train of thought. I wasn't intentionally trying to mislead people. So who, when I was talking about this teeth thing 6 months ago, saying you only need to brush your teeth once a week, look, my teeth, I showed you guys my teeth. They're perfectly fine. They look fine. Didn't look like anything was wrong. Yeah, look at them. When I'm detoxing, because that shit's sitting inside me, and as long as I keep feeding those cocksuckers and not addressing them and just making them happy through whatever foods they want, which is usually processed, chemicals, sugary foods, or sexual deviancy, or gossiping, or whatever it is, whatever they are thriving off of, whatever kind of emotions they are instigating in you, whatever kind of desires or cravings they're instigating in you, right? As long as you feed them and keep them happy and don't talk about them or expose them or point them out and call them your enemy and try to evacuate them and evict them, they're going to live there because you have agreed to a symbiotic relationship as long as you continue in whatever deviancy and carnality that they demand of you. As long as you keep playing their game, you're fine. But what is happening to you that you're not realizing, even though your skin's perfect, your hair is beautiful, your teeth are straight and white, and you fucking have to speak the most beautiful, eloquent shit that anybody's ever heard, and you're just got the picture perfect life, you are dead inside, because that's what they're doing. What they are doing is they are wrapping your insides. They are wrapping everything in this coating, and they are just, that what they are doing is they are putting they're breeding billions, zillions of these fucking things and putting them in between coatings and coatings and coatings, and every few years when you get a little bellyache and your doctor puts you on an antibiotic and you go on that antibiotic for fucking 6 weeks and then you forget a couple days taking it, you're like, no big deal. And then next thing you know, you're like, oh, okay, yeah, doc, I'm fine, my belly issues went away, you're right, I need that antibiotic. Little did you know, it didn't do anything to the motherfucker, and it turned him into a super bug, and he was already a fucking genius. Now he's a goddamn, what do you call him, whatever, you know, and that's what you're dealing with, and you have been living as nothing but a mindless minion for a fucking parasite that's 1/zillionth the size of you, that's controlling every emotion, thought, everything you're doing. I wasn't intentionally trying to mislead people. So who was screaming for months to only brush once a week? Who was that? It is very apparent to me. That was being parasitically instigated, and I was just following along like a mindless minion, just like, yeah, quit brushing your teeth, guys, oral care, fuck oral care, right? And not even thinking, hey, dummy, you're telling a bunch of people who are eating processed food, animal flesh, and fucking whatever else junk they can find, that are drinking God knows what, that are doing whatever else unhealthy shit, that probably have never cleaned out in their lives, and now you're telling them not to fucking clean their mouths out, which is the most important fucking focal point when you start doing detox. That is obviously parasitically driven. Or I'm just a fucking agent of the state that is purposely trying to put out misinformation and trying to direct everybody down to fucking rot your teeth out. You know what I mean? And that's where your discretion, if you're going to go outside yourself and watch anything and read anything, and you trust yourself not to be fooled by every little thing, then you need to have the discretion and ability to discernment. You have to have that discernment to be able to know and see when someone made an honest mistake and is saying it and is trying to do the best thing, compared to somebody who is intentionally lying, obfuscating, taking advantage of, controlling, manipulating, etc. And even then, you still have to answer that question. Okay, Richard is obviously not a demon. I mean, he seems like he's doing everything right. So who is it that is controlling Richard? What mechanism behind Richard got him to say to not brush your teeth? Do you understand? This is important. You can't just keep on going through life and thinking, and just looking at all of these fucking things and just being like, I already know. Your arrogant ignorance just going, I already know. I don't need to learn from all. I've been through all this shit. I don't even, and it just keeps on happening. No, why do you think these things keep happening? Because you haven't learned yet. Because you are repeating patterns of behavior because you haven't broken them yet. Well, I'd say it was a parasite, bacteria, etc. that was controlling that output, and 6 months later I humbly apologized and have completely changed my stance. Unless you have been cleaned out for a long period of time, which is who? Not any of us. So who is not trusting themselves, or when they think they are speaking truth end up being wrong? Surely not an all-knowing eternal soul. So who? And that's what I'm trying to say is that, I mean, unless you guys know somebody who, you know, it doesn't have a house, doesn't have any belongings, is not asking for money, does not eat food, is, you know, and is walking that completely spirit. There's nobody. Do you know any? You don't know anybody. That's why you're on fucking YouTube. So who? You know what I mean? You got to keep on asking yourself that. Get that discretion sharpened. You're better off not trusting anybody than to trust everybody. You're better off just cutting everything off than having, you know, two little things that you watch. Because anything that you open yourself up to, you are immediately saying that you are not enough, you are unworthy, you don't know, you need help, you need a savior, you need a teacher, you need a guide, you don't need any of that. And just the fact that you say, who needs that? Not an eternal soul. A parasite. A parasite is any organism that relies on another for survival. Let me say that again. This is so simple. A parasite is any organism that relies on another for survival. That really makes this quite simple. So if a soul is eternal and all-knowing, then its avatar will display those actions that reflect a soul-operated biological organism connected to everything on that level, and therefore it would exist in a peaceful, harmonic, symbiotic, because you are a soul ultimately in charge of an extraordinarily advanced biological system. So it would be a symbiotic system of what I'm thinking at the moment has been hijacked, and instead of thinking and living in such a manner, we have been hijacked by these microorganisms, and therefore are in constant need and desire for everything outside of us. And that's as simple as it gets. So as long as you are keep searching, keep looking to others for even, keep looking to others for clues, keep looking to others like there's you know, like you're Scooby-Doo or some shit. You are operating. Who is that? Who is operating that? Who is fucking searching? That is anxiety that searches. Who is searching? The soul does not get anxiety. The soul is not anxious. The soul does not have fear. The soul does not have worry. The soul does not need. The soul does not desire. The soul doesn't have any of that. These are all, you guys are mixing. You're taking the attributes of what the soul is, and then you're taking a parasite and you're putting them together and saying, well, how can I be a parasitical soul that just, you know, works together with everything, but still needs, and still, you know, I got things I like to do. I like sports, and I like fucking beautiful women, and I like fucking fast food, and, you know, you can't have it all. You're realizing the importance because the energies are changing and everything's becoming apparent because the illusion's breaking away. But all you've ever known since before the day you were born, because of these generational parasites and the generational trauma and bonding and abuse, all you've ever known is parasitical behavior, thought patterns, and how to live in such a manner. A parasite is any organism that relies on another for survival. That really makes it quite simple. So if a soul is eternal and all-knowing, then its avatar will display those actions that reflect a soul-operated biological organism connected to everything on that level, and therefore it would exist in a peaceful, harmonic, symbiotic system of what I'm thinking at the moment has been hijacked, and instead of thinking and living in such a manner, we have been hijacked by these microorganisms, and therefore are in constant need and desire for everything outside of us. Parasitical behavior. I judge everyone nowadays who is not focused 100% on detaching from this whole materialistic, never-ending consumption, and especially if they purport to speak truth and are seeking monetary gain, boost their ego, looking to have a following, any of that, etc. Just like me 6 months ago, purporting to know the truth about the mouth. Who was saying those obvious untruths? Surely not a pure soul. Of course not. It was obviously parasitically driven. So when I break it down like that in my head, it just becomes very fucking obvious. My intention is to just get my story out there with as much detail as I can possibly muster, while detoxing and realizing this has followed me my whole life and is generational, at least 4 generations in my family. I think such an open look into such a fucked up life as mine, with all the relatable experiences that all point to parasitical predatory behavior, is important for whoever is watching, as truth resonates, and it's obvious for those who have the discernment, the eyes to see, the ears to hear, and trust in themselves that they won't be fooled by idiots who are healing like me, who are still on the fence, and at any moment can obviously be taken over by this matrix system. But if you're relying on everything this illusory false matrix system is offering, of course you will constantly seek everything outside of you and never have peace. It ultimately comes down to that glorious day the lights go out and this whole false illusory predatory system comes to a screeching halt. Then there will be no more fence-sitting excuses, lies, manipulations, obfuscations, gaslighting, doublespeak, talking in circles, etc. It's going to be an absolution of the material matrix and possibly a return to our perfect state. I don't know. I have no fucking clue. I don't claim to know, but that just seems to make sense at this moment. I mean, that's the most logical thing I can come to at this moment, unless I go out there and start, you know, watching 50 different YouTube channels that all purport to have this esoteric knowledge and have the keys to the what is that we all oh god damn it, I always forget this fucking one. The where all the knowledge is kept that we all have access to, that the goddamn, you know, all the musicians and shit tap into to get their creative edge, right? I think this is a perfect example. I don't claim to know that, but it just seems to make sense at this moment. I think this is a perfect example of why I can do my videos without guilt or shame, at least a minimal amount, when I figure out I was wrong. But that's why I forgive myself immediately, change course, verbalize the inconsistency, and keep going. Again, I said it a million times. I'm not a preacher, not a teacher. I don't claim to have any knowledge that nobody else has. I'm not receiving signals from outer space. I don't have fucking light beams shooting fucking ethereal knowledge into my asshole. None of that shit. No, I'm just a regular person, just like you, who is waking up to his parasitical behaviors to my what would that be? Possession. What would be a better word than being possessed if you've been living like that your whole life, in denial that you're living like that, but in complete denial, but living like that. Why are we all confused? Because everybody's saying one thing but doing the exact opposite, and we're all supposed to not point it out and get along, and nobody's fat and nobody's ugly and nobody has acne and nobody's got these issues, and we're all just special little snowflakes with our own little stories, and everything goes and everything's okay. And oh my god, this is all on purpose to drive confusion, guys. I mean, come on. Only a sick mind cannot understand this. So I think I've done enough damage through my life in the last 42 years that as long as I lead with 100% openness now with what I'm doing with my videos, honesty and integrity, then as long as my aim is true, all those with the discernment will obviously see I have no underlying motives, wants, desires, and sure as hell don't ask for money or prayers or hawk any jewelry or fucking trinkets or art or any other bullshit. I think, yes, we are all on our own journeys, but we'll ultimately have to pass the final hurdle of operating from a parasitical mindset that is obviously at conflict with the all-knowing spirit. If it seeks truth from without and constantly relies on consumption for survival. And instead dying to the old man, the parasitical driven one, and all of its programming, behaviors, thoughts, patterns of behavior, all that shit. You have to die to all of that and be born again in spirit. Being born again in spirit is not fence sitting. Being born again in spirit is not proclaiming to know the truth or purporting to be on a healing journey while sitting there stuffing your face full of fucking buns, watching fucking Married with Children, jerking your dick, and fucking wondering what the sports score is and when you're going to vote for the next fucking idiot. That is not spirit. That is nothing. Guys, do you see what I'm saying? This new man, fully integrated spirit and biology with no necessity for balanced diets, nutrition, cars, money, trinkets, gadgets, protection from the elements, and on and on and on, and all the limiting bullshit that comes out of everybody's cocksucking spellcasting mouths that are downgrading themselves and everybody around them with the limiting language that they're speaking on themselves and everybody else. Most of our minds can't even wrap around that concept. Oh sure, many can say that they do, but you can only judge a man or woman by their behaviors or actions. if you're still listening to people's words and not looking at their behaviors and actions to know who they are, then you are a fool. And you have to ask yourself, wouldn't a spirit-filled, all-knowing being not be tricked by every fucking cocksucker that opens his fucking face up and lets words spill out of it? So who is being constantly fooled and misdirected and misguided? Who? As I've stated, the same one who has the discernment to go out there with the trillions of different lies and stories that the Matrix just readily hands in a package to you, and you've got the discernment. No, you don't. Your pride and ego, you have to crush that pride and ego. This is a humbling experience, guys. Yes, we have to stand up and stand strong and not let things come into us, but we cannot sit here and act like, been living 42 years as a goddamn demon, and all of a sudden today I've made a change. I decided I'm not going to partake of any of this self-destructive behavior thoughts or any of that other shit anymore, and now I am loftier and I know the truth. You know what I mean? Why sit here and stuff my face full of bonbons and watch Married with Children jerk my dick and wonder what the sports score is? Oh sure, many can say they do, but you can only judge a man, woman by their behavior today. As I've stated before, it's apparent, to me anyways, that we were never meant to speak. Speech is a spellcasting and an inversion to our innate connection to all biological and spiritual. The spirit-driven avatar is wise and has no reason to participate in such a predatory witchcraft limiting behavior with all its gross limitations and built-in manipulations, such as speech, when it has always had access to instant communication through its spiritual and biological mechanisms that can't be denied, are connecting everything around us, meaning telepathy. Guys, we have these things at any time when we can just overcome this scared little behaviors of ours that where all this started at childhood, and we can just overcome that and admit we were wrong and really get down to it and really make these changes. Everything will change instantly. Why can't I do it? Obviously, I can't. I haven't done it yet because I'm still struggling. I still have things that I need to deal with. Obviously have childhood issues. I still obviously have, food issues. I still obviously have parasitical and bacterial and heavy metal issues and all of these other issues that have never even been dealt with. I've never once had a time in my life where I was completely free of all parasites and heavy metals and anything else that could take forefront and take the driver's seat in my thinking and behaving and emotions. I've never once been that controller that had operation of all of this without having to ask permission from the boss, whatever parasite, bacteria, or whatever else that hey, I'm not going to upset you if I do this, am I? You know what I mean? So no matter where our individual healing journeys take us, we will all have to at some point quit seeking for the truth outside. Meaning no more book or other form of media like YouTube and all this other matrix packaged garbage of false idols and exchanging of birthrights for tokens of instant gratification. And that's what it is. Each time we go outside of ourselves, we're giving up our birthright. We are consenting that, hey, we're nothing. We don't have a birthright. We weren't born all knowing. We weren't born with all this in us. We got to go out there and hope that somebody is going to truthfully hand us package everything we didn't know. It's not going to happen. We're exchanging our birthright for tokens of instant gratification, and we've been doing it our whole lives, and that's the parasitical programming we're on, constantly seeking instant gratification, and the only way to find it is outside of ourselves. That's parasitical behavior. When we truly realize how deep in the shitter we are as individuals and a species, hopefully it will humble all our tongues and we will start behaving appropriately. The only thing that matters is our works. Anybody can say anything. Everybody seems to know everything but are constantly seeking for the truth outside of their all-knowing selves. What does that? An organism in conflict with itself. Where do we see that displayed magnificently? animals, insects, birds, humans, etc., that are found to have any numerous amount of these microscopic organisms that control a host billions, if not trillions, maybe zillions times its size. How crazy is that? But the powers that be that most rely on for answers about life and how to live are led to believe there is nothing to see here. I don't even know what I wrote. How crazy is that? The powers that be that mostly rely on that we mostly rely on for answers about life and how to live are leading us to believe that there's nothing to see here with these organisms, with these parasites, with this bacteria. In our country, they don't even act like it even exists. In the other country, oh yeah, it exists here. Just make sure you guys all take this pill once a year and you're fine. When they've shown that that doesn't even work. So this, I'm telling you, this is the major. This is what they don't want you fucking pursuing. I'm telling you right now. My whole point, which is incredibly obvious to me, is we can assume everything outside of us is controlled opposition, so to speak. I know of no spirit-filled or spirit-driven humans. Not one. My whole life. And I've been around. I mean, I haven't been shy. I've been out there meeting people my whole life. I've never met one. I've met I've met more kind, nice people in so many different ways and in different, ways of being accepting and understanding and passive and loving and kind, right? But I've never met anybody that even comes close to qualifying as a spirit-filled or spirit-driven being in my life. Everything and everyone seems to be operating in unison with the matrix, parasitically predator-based system. Exactly. And that's what I'm trying to say. So those of us like me who are just holding on to this physical existence by a string, right? By a fucking string. For years, for decades now, we're just holding on by a string. Those of us who are getting rid of everything, have nothing, are being beaten down and attacked physically, spiritually, emotionally, and psychologically, psychically, every way you can imagine. We seem crazy, right? We are the ones that are onto something, basically, because like these people like Billy Carson and anybody else. I don't care. I don't care if they have 5 followers. I don't care if they have 5 million followers. All of them. Every single one of them is an agent of the state. Every single one of them. And the problem with these big guys like Billy Carson and you can name hundreds of them, thousands of them. I don't know why Billy Carson keeps on popping in my head. I guess because he says so much good shit, but I can see where he's just taking it so far left field and driving everybody over the cliff with nonsensical bullshit to think about. When really the people who are speaking the truth are telling you to start taking care of yourself and focusing on yourself and quit tuning in to everything outside of you. Those are the people who are speaking truth. Not the ones who are proclaiming and they're putting out 2-hour-long videos every day and it's just packed with knowledge and it's esoteric truths and oh my god and oh they're so smart and intelligent and there must be something giving them all this information and I should follow them. And no anybody, look, from the mouths of babes, right? You want to get down to some truth, go talk to some 3- and 4-year-olds and have a deep fucking conversation with some 3- and 4-year-olds. No candy, take them out in the woods for a little walk, take them out in the river, go for a little swim, do something like that with them and then get into their head. They're geniuses. Talk to mentally handicapped people. They'll be able to cut out 90% of the bullshit that you guys are so used to talking about and thinking about 24/7, that they get down to the fundamentals and the roots of things. And then the children get into the whole creator aspect of things, of who we really are. in what we're capable of. But no, you look at these 3 and 4 year olds when you have this and you realize that they're going to school and being crushed. That individual spirit is being crushed. That creative spirit's being crushed and being told, shut the fuck up, you know nothing. You're only in kindergarten, bitch. You got 12 more years of this shit before you can even qualify to make $10 an hour. Shut your fucking mouth and sit still for 8 hours, bitch, or we're gonna have your mom give you some fucking gnarly ass fucking medicine that's gonna make you fucking separate yourself from all reality. This is the reality of what we live in. This happens every day. I know more parents than I can shake a stick at that have given their kids the most unbelievable gnarly meds on the fucking planet to shut them up and shut them down to make the fucking state happy. You can't trust your parents. You can't trust your kids. You can't trust anything outside yourself. It's all part of the matrix system. It's all been running lock and step with the whole matrix fucking bullshit agenda narrative script this whole time. The only way that the only answer is not to play. The only answer is not to play any of this. And what I'm trying to say is anybody who's sitting here proclaiming to spout truth, who's living in a big house and has fucking jewelry on and shit hanging off their face and decorated and tattoos and think they're cool and all buff and built and think they're, you know, this and that and oh man, and trying to sell you shit and trying to market things and trying to say, hey, you should be happy and life's about being fucking experiencing. That is all lock in step with the matrix agenda of confusion and needing things outside yourself. So what I'm trying to say is you are better off going and talking to a 3 or 4 year old. You're better off going outside and talking to a homeless person. You're better off locking yourself in your fucking closet and sitting with yourself for a goddamn week and not feeding the parasites that fucking have been running you and fucking destroying you and everything around you its whole life and justifying its behaviors and actions. You're better off doing that than opening up this devil-given device that is absolutely 100% meant to deceive, misguide, and keep you stuck in your shit. Do you know anyone who has detached and lives a spirit-filled existence and acts accordingly, not having a job and home or having to kill other sentient beings for survival? This fully integrated being will not be joining in the fun at your local town bazaar or raving about the newest electronic gadget, sports score, gossiping, eating animal flesh, talking of ways to invest or make money, etc., etc. None of us have any idea what a fully integrated human would look like, but I can guarantee you she doesn't have heartburn, is not waiting anxiously for the newest episode of their favorite TV show to come on, is not stressed about paying bills, and is certainly not using the enemy's tools of manipulation and distraction, such as electronic and written media, to find any kind of truth or answers. We have been conditioned and programmed to allow ourselves to be swept up in the appearance and emotion of things, and therefore chain ourselves to every minute detail of everyone else's lives who are all dealing with their own shit and experiences, when the only person we should be evaluating under such scrutiny is ourselves. My whole foundational point is this. If you are so confident that the Matrix is not capable of using you, if you haven't cut ties and detached, then who is it that is seeking truth? So if you proclaim to be impervious to matrix possession and control, and you are such a special snowflake that you woke up one day after decades of only knowing how to survive in fear, lies, deceit, manipulations, and living life as a parasitical bottom feeder, who is it that lived as a parasite for decades, that now all of a sudden thinks it can choose with words to be a spirited being while taking years to detach and still living like a parasite? Who is that hypocrite? Who is that broken man? Who is that being in fucking living in conflict? Definitely, certainly not the spirit. Oh, I see. So although we've all proven to each other with our actions of propagating and perpetuating these abusive slavery systems that we most certainly are at the very least under parasitic control psychologically, physically, emotionally, spiritually, we can all just randomly wake up one day and claim we now know we are eternal spirited creation beings, and identifying as such, my new pronouns are king and queen. So, excuse me, you will now address me as king or queen because I just came to the fucking realization of what I really am, and I'm going to work for the next 20 years on changing my behaviors and detaching, but, you know, you'll still see me at the bar and at the whorehouse, and you'll see me over here at the movie theater and at the bowling alley and jerking my dick over here with the mayor and doing this and doing that and watching TV. You know what I mean? I'm still going to have all my old behaviors. It's just now I know. No, I'm not playing that shit. If you guys want to play that stupid game, you go play that shit by yourself. I'm not playing that shit. There is no putting old wine into new containers. A spirit-filled vessel is not coming in to a 40-year self-destructed physical vessel that was parasitically driven to destroy itself and going to be like, oh, well, I see what I inherited here. I guess it's going to take me about 20 years to clean this thing out. I guess I'll just have to slowly wean myself off the drugs, alcohol, sex, and candy. No! Quit fooling yourself, quit lying to yourself, because you certainly aren't lying to me. I see right through the bullshit. Spend the rest of your life in lip service to spirit and how you are trying to supposedly heal while never ceasing to propagate and perpetuate the abusive parasitical matrix system of control. You're still playing, doing all the same shit. Yeah, you quit doing these few things. You're doing a few things that are positive instead of negative, like yoga and meditation and things like that. You cleaned up your diet a little bit, you know, but you still have all these other things. You don't get to fake it until you make it. You can't claim to be an eternal, all-powerful creator and be afraid of death, or eating poison, or listening and watching poison, etc. Lip service is all part of this witchcraft illusion. You will know them by their actions. That is all that matters. Guys, it's that simple. You will know them by their actions. For all of us parasitical, demon-infested, mindless minions who are so arrogantly ignorant as to think we can be a spirit-driven body while at the same time worshiping everything outside ourselves and holding on to all the Trojan horses the enemy has implanted as a form of entertainment and distraction. All I can say, ignorance is bliss.